one question or one remark before we start. I just wanted to understand the physical. I mean, I just want to check my understanding of P/E ratios. So, does P/E ratio mean how much an investor is spending for one, let's say, 1 unit or $1 of earnings per share?
Exactly. So P ratio tells you that, okay, if my annual profit is 100, annual profit per share is $1, I am valuing the company at 50. So for example, Tesla, I think its P ratio is 125, which means for 125 years of profit is what is the value of that company. That is a abnormal valuation.
Right. So at this point, what I don't understand is, from the readings that I understand, P/E ratios in isolation wouldn't give much information, but have to be seen in comparison with P ratios across the industry or the same company's P ratio historically or trailing and forward Ps. So,
No. So it would be good to compare it to peers, but then not all industries have similar quality of peers. Like for example, Tesla, whom do you compare it to?
exactly, that was my point. So, at this, in the case of Tesla or any other blue ocean companies, what is the significance of PE there then? So it only shows that the investor is ready to pay higher value for a smaller return, expecting that there will be a big growth in the future.
Exactly. So as I explained, your P ratio ideally is as per the rules of value investing. P ratio means that if I am assigning a P of 130 to a company, which means that year on year the profit should grow by 130%. So this year if the profit is $1, next year it should be $2.30. Now if the company is able to meet this criteria historically for the last 3 years, and I projected that next 3 years also it will meet, because historically the data is actuals, in future it is always a
Estimation.
assumption.
Right.
But if I see historically they have done it, then I can safely assume that they will be able to meet it. But Tesla doesn't have the record of meeting the numbers in the last 3 years also. But anyways, we are digressing from the topic. But yeah, the concept is that.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. So in that case, wouldn't we be looking at peg ratio?
A peg ratio, yeah. So peg ratio would tell you the same thing, right? So if you look at the 130% growth, sorry, 130% is the P ratio, and your growth is only 30%, then your peg ratio will be 130 by 34, which means it is highly overvalued. Yeah. So whichever way you look at it. So what I
Okay,
just
thanks.
explained is how you calculate your peg ratio.
Okay, so shall I continue, Nishant?
Yes. So this data which you are showing, right, doesn't have that. So you will probably have to derive it by
Yeah,
looking at.
I mean, you have to consider the different time periods and try to see some kind of trend, right? Basically.
No. So what I was saying is, if you go to your Word document, right? My question was,
Yeah.
go to your Word document or whatever you were showing. Yeah. So if you see here, the first one, right? Return on capital employed is greater than 20%. I wanted to see the trend
Yeah.
line. So now
Okay.
this screener doesn't give you directly. So if you go back, you can derive it. So if you go to this, you go to your balance sheet, right? Go up. So like we discussed, right? So you
Balance sheet.
could just take the data for say March 2013. So each year, right? So say I want with last 5 years at least. So start from March 2016. You will have your EBIT here. If you go to your P&L, you can get the EBIT from there. So ROC, the formula was EBIT divided by your debt, long-term debt plus equity, or your total liability minus your current assets. So whichever way you look at it. So that formula anyways you can get it from Investopedia.
Okay.
So now for March 2016 you will have to get your EBIT. So your EBIT will be earnings before interest and tax. So are they calling the EBIT? No, they are giving you the profit before tax, right? So
So
from
it's
this you have to.
operating profit, right?
No, EBIT, earnings before interest and tax. So this is earnings before tax. This is EBT. So from this 880 crores, you subtract this interest amount, 42. So that gives you your EBIT, 846. You are with me, Ishwar? Here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got your EBIT here. Now you go to the balance sheet.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
just go. Where is my share capital? Yeah, so 2016, right? So it is 89 crores. And how much is my borrowings? So add these three: share capital plus reserves plus borrowings.
Okay.
So the total of these three, just do it quickly on an Excel.
Sorry, stocks. Sheets. Yeah. Can you just tell me the numbers? Otherwise, I'll have to switch tabs.
I'll have to pull it up. Okay. Let me pull it up.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. 89 is the share capital plus
8. 2016 is what we were looking at. So put 89.
Yeah, 2016, something like this.
No, go back.
89 are is the share capital.
3446
3446. Okay.
plus 113.
And 113. So all of this gives you.
This is your capital employed.
Okay, and you mentioned the number from the P&L, right?
Yeah, so this is what we are doing for 2016, right? Yeah, so 2016, you take your 888 is your
Yeah.
PBT and subtract 42 from here.
So this is.
Excuse me, what are we doing again?
We are calculating the ROC.
ROC, for that you are trying to arrive at EBIT.
Yes.
But EBIT can also be calculated using operating profit and other income. Other income, assuming that all non-operating income and investment income is there. Other income is given in the screenshot.
Yes, so if you look at Screener, they have given your PBT.
No, they have also given operating profit and other income. So if you just add both of them, it's basically EBIT.
So operating profit. Yeah, I was taking only operating profit first.
Operating profit and the other income added together is your EBIT.
No, but depreciation has to be deducted, right?
No, you are saying EBIT or EBITDA. If you are saying EBITDA, then it's a different thing. If you're only saying EBIT, then it is operating profit and interest. In operating profit, depreciation is already deducted.
No, they have not done it, right? If you see how they have done it, if you see operating profit is 949, then after that they have added other income, then they have deducted interest and they have deducted depreciation and they have given profit before tax, which is earnings before tax, same thing. So I said EBIT and I'm just going to add the interest component to get my EBIT before interest and taxes.
Okay, so this plus 42 basically, right?
Yeah.
Nishant, but I think I.
So here that is not your net profit. Ishwar, that is not your net profit, right? That 888 is EBT.
Okay, so it should be
before tax.
Okay.
No, that's okay. So you just add that 42 and you will get your EBIT.
EBIT, okay. Okay.
So it's EBT plus interest is EBIT.
Nishant, can you explain once again why operating profit plus other income is not EBIT?
No, I'm not saying it is not, but in this case, the numbers will not match. Just go to that screener one.
So to verify, actually, I tried to calculate it on the TTM, the ROCE values, but I was getting a different value for the current 12 months itself. So maybe after this, if we could just verify the calculation for the TTM so that we know that ROCE should match what we see there.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Let me first do this. One second.
Nishant, Amoli.
अमोल एक मिनट, मेरे को ये करने दो. हाँ, so just do this. 930 divide by 3648 and do the percentage.
So about 25%, 25.5.
Yeah, so now this you can put on a pivot chart, right? So this is for 1 year. Now you put it for the last 5 years, and then you can see whether your ROC has gone up or gone down. Now, ideally for a good company, the ROC should go up.
Okay.
If it has gone down, then you need to dig deeper why it has gone down. And now ask, guys.
No,
Can we try the same for TTM just to verify your ROCE calculation?
For which one?
For the current year, because
Yeah.
the current year's ROCE is mentioned, right? So if we can follow the same steps for the current year's.
Where do you see the current year ROC?
We see it on the main dashboard, isn't it?
That is the problem with Screener. One day I was trying to do tallying for some other company. Those numbers don't tally. From where they are getting the numbers, I'm not able to figure out.
Oh, I see. So what's a good data source? Basically, if we put in garbage, we get out garbage.
Fine, right? But that calculation ratio was not making sense. But yeah, let's try this for what he's saying for the TTM.
Basically, this will be 2020, right? The March 2019, 2020.
The results are not yet out, so I think trailing 12 months is January to December is what they are using. That is what the other problem is, right? They are saying TTM, but they are not saying which period is this TTM for. But anyways, yeah, do the same thing. Just put the numbers. It will be, just plug it in. The formula will calculate now.
Yeah. So over here, this will be 2105, and then the interest component is 149. 2105, right? And 149.
Just change that net profit, right? Just put it as EBT. That is your earnings before tax.
Yeah, you're right.
No, where you are writing net profit, right? Just say it as EBT.
So this is EBT.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is why, so you add the interest to get EBIT.
Okay.
Because you want the earnings before interest and tax both.
Okay.
That is why you are adding the interest component.
Okay, this is actually incorrect column, but doesn't matter. So, okay, so balance sheet, we go to share capital plus reserves plus borrowing. So that hasn't changed. 89. Interest.
Reserves have changed, right? The numbers are not very visible. Can you make it a little larger? At your end, maybe it's visible, so you can plug it in. Let's see.
Better?
Yeah, slightly. 6736, right?
One 732. 1762. So yeah, so we are comparing 26.25% versus 25.49. So it has.
Is it 26.25 matching what they are giving?
It's 26.42, but almost, yeah.
How did you find that number?
On
Go
the
to that
dashboard
main.
on the top, on the Titan.
This number here?
You see the ROC here?
Yeah.
26.8.
Okay.
I do see 26.42. Oh, okay. I've selected 1 year. Okay.
So ours is coming as
26.25.
Okay, just try with the way Deepti told. Deepti, can you tell the numbers?
So I said, basically by definition, operating profit also should have depreciation reduced. So I said EBIT is basically operating profit plus other income.
Okay.
But here, if you see, they are
I saw it.
they have not deducted the depreciation, so that number will not tally. But try it if they have used that theory.
But they shouldn't remove the depreciation, right? According to the formula, it's EBIT. It's not EBITDA.
No. So depreciation should be removed, na. So EBIT is earning before interest and tax, which means the depreciation has to be deducted.
Then what would be EBITDA? I thought the DA component is the depreciation and
So
EBITDA.
that is before earning before interest, tax, and depreciation. That is depreciation is included.
And amortization also. EBITDA is amortization also. So you will add back your depreciation and amortization also. So that is why now if you look at the
Okay,
P&L,
so I remove this number basically.
No. So the way Deepti is telling is you would add 2418 plus 146.
2418 plus 146. Okay, I see.
But you will have to still deduct 310, which will give you the same number. But yeah, do that way.
Okay,
Let's see.
2418.
2416 or 2418, whatever is the number. 2418
yeah, okay. Plus
and 2418 plus 146.
Plus 146. Okay. So this goes.
No, do it somewhere else. Don't touch that one.
Basically.
Do it somewhere else now. Okay.
Okay.
Don't touch that one. Put it in column H. 2416.
2418.
2418. Yeah.
416.
What is that number?
Yeah, it was 2418.
2418 plus 146.
146. Okay.
Guys, I see completely
Different
values here for Titan. So I don't see 2418 at all. I see 2463.
Yeah, now you divide this. Yeah. So do the percentage now.
Okay. So this number divided by this number here. 29.3.
Yeah.
Depreciation is not yet deducted, right?
So I think in that 24, so that 2418 plus 146 minus you need to do the depreciation. It is the same thing. The number will be the same.
Okay.
Go back to that screener screen.
310. Okay.
No. Yeah. How much is that?
310.
So it will come the same number, na? It will be same number. Yeah, 2254 ही आएगा. The number will match. So you understood, right? What Deepti explained and what I did. So basically what Deepti is saying is your operating income should be after depreciation, but different companies use their own fundas. So here in operating income, they have not reduced depreciation. So that is why we have to reduce it. Ideally, in operating income, the depreciation should have been reduced. Then to arrive at EBIT, you would just have to add the other income.
Okay. Okay, so these are just different accounting principles, essentially.
Yeah, everybody does what they want.
But that's what I don't understand. I mean, it's supposed to be standardized, right? I mean, these accountants are supposed to be certified.
Okay, this is for another day. Okay.
It is standard. I can give a presentation on the time. I fight every day in office regarding various accounting standards, IFRS, HGB, and international.
Okay, let me just put it in one way, right? It will be very difficult to get two accountants to agree on how to consider one expense.
Absolutely.
And I have had multiple fights with multiple people in my accounting days. So yeah. And end point being, everybody reads accounting books. See, all of these are very much subject to your own interpretation. So everybody interprets in their own way, and then generally egos take over. But yeah, so that's for another day, as I said. But yeah, so ideally, just by looking at the numbers, I did what was the best here. So ideally, they have not reduced depreciation. So they have taken their operating profit, then they have added other income and reduced interest and depreciation separately.
Also, this might be the simplification done by screener itself. Maybe if you actually go to the company balance sheet and look at it, maybe they have done it the correct way. I don't know.
Yes, possible as well. It could also be how a screener wants to represent the data. So, but anyways, in short, you understand
but yeah.
Did Ishwar, you understand? Because you are the one who will have to present this in the next session. So what I wanted is, I want you to pull this data for 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. If there is an easier way, do it. Otherwise, it's a good practice. Once your sheet is ready, you just plug the numbers and it will throw it out. Okay. So this will help us understand whether ROC is going up or down. But if you go to the number sheet again, it makes a lot of other interesting reading actually. And this you can use same for ROE also. So you just use the ROE formula there. But if you go to the balance sheet, right? Yeah, here if you see, your share capital is constant, which means they have not issued any new shares from 2015 I'm looking, or 2012 itself. Okay. In 2011 to 12, either they issued new shares or they probably went for a bonus issue. Okay. But that is for another day. So from 2015, if you see, their share capital is constant, but their reserves are growing. So can somebody tell me why? And Deepti and some of the other guys don't answer. It is probably Sandeep, Amol, one of these guys should answer. Why is the reserves going up every year? Just look from 2015 to 2020. Amol?
No idea, Nishan.
Okay. Vaibhav?
I can answer if nobody goes forward.
Yeah, let me just. So what was the question again?
So if you look at reserves from 2015, the reserves was 3,003 crores. And if you look in 2020, it is 6,700 crores. So it has almost doubled. How? From where is this money coming?
Okay. Yeah, let me check.
Okay. As Vaibhav is checking, Siddharth?
No idea.
Ankit? Sandeep?
See, what I can observe is that the liabilities in the same period has also increased by the same ratio. So that means that they have either taken bank debt or either they have got investments from somewhere. So then if we check investments, then we can see that yes, the ratio of investments is also quite high in the same 5-year period.
No, but that is other liability. Na? Reserve kaise bada? Simple question. Reserve number is going up, right? So what is happening here?
Either cost has, like either they decreased the cost of their products or profits increased. That's the only way.
No. Somebody wants to go and just click on that plus sign, Ishwar. What does it pull up for share capital?
Which one?
For share capital, there is a plus sign. So click. What does it open? No. On your
So
left
it's
side.
only equity capital. I think reserves are going up because of their retaining profits from the previous years, and also the borrowings have gone up, right?
No. Borrowings have no borrowings. I'm not talking about borrowings. Just stick to reserves. So reserves, the only way they can go up is you have made profit of 500 crores, but only given out 100 crores as dividend. Rest you have retained. So that retained earning goes to your reserves and surplus. So either some companies represent it as retained earnings, some people show it as reserves and surplus. Here in Screener, they are using a standard methodology of reserves. So reserves can only come from that. And
So, Nishan, increasing reserve means it is a good sign for the company?
Reserves growing is a good sign, obviously, that the profits are growing. But then what are they doing with the reserves? If they are not able to reward the shareholders, why are they keeping so much reserve? Because if you see these reserves going up will directly impact your cash. So there will be a lot of cash in their hand also. So if they are investing it, it is fine. If they are using this money to open new stores or whatever, that is fine. But if they are not, then better they can pay it out to the shareholders.
And we see from the investments and other assets ratios in the last 5 years, we don't see them growing as proportionally as the reserves, right? So
no, they do actually, right? If you see the other assets was 5,000 crores in 2015, and now it is 10,000 crores. So it has grown by 5,000 crores. So in fact, part of the reserves they might have spent. So we will have to see from 2014 to 15, the reserves went up by 600 crores. So we need to see how much profit they made in 2015 and what part they paid it off. So go to P&L now.
The reason for reserves going up can also be that they are expecting some future obligations, some sort of future obligation.
Yes, that would justify the management to keep some part as retained earnings. So if you see the net profit for 2015, they made 823 crores. And if you see the dividend payout ratio, they paid it off, only 25% of it they paid off, which means 5 5 crores. So the rest remaining 615 crore was retained. So that 615 crore should be reflected in your balance sheet. So go back to the balance. So if you see
one question here, Nishant, for the benefit of people so that people understand. Does everyone understand why reserves is shown as a liability? In the balance sheet, it is shown as a liability.
No, it's not shown as a liability. Liabilities is another row.
No, shareholder equity or reserves are always a liability in the books of a company.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. But why? Why is whatever? So that we get a step ahead.
Because it is carried forward from the past.
No, I know. You know it. You will know it. It's for the others. Non-finance folks.
Okay.
You will answer it. I know.
Yeah, because as like Pranali was saying, because it is being carried forward for the future. Yeah. Also, guys, I mean, slightly off, but in the ROC calculation before, we in the formula, at least from Investopedia, says that you'll have to remove the current liabilities, right? So when we are calculating for March 2020, I assume the current liabilities will be the interest that they have to pay this year on the borrowing that they have, right?
No. So wait, Vivek, first let's close this one question, then I will come to that.
Yeah, so Dheeraj, I think that the reserves are a liability because, if the money is not getting invested, then it is automatically getting depreciated over time, right? Like time value of money, is it that?
No, guys, you guys are going somewhere else.
Yeah, not exactly. Don't go to time value of money and all in balance sheet. And
so what is a liability and what is an asset from a company's perspective? Let's go to that now.
Yeah.
Because the concepts are very confusing. So what is a liability and what is an asset? So here we are talking about asset and liability, right? So we are talking from whose perspective first here? This balance sheet is from whose perspective?
The company's perspective.
The company's perspective.
Company's perspective, right? So what is an asset for a company? What is a liability for a company?
Liabilities, if they have to give something, I mean, if they are liable to, if it's something that
where they owe
it's a
money
responsibility for them, yeah.
They owe money to others. Simple.
Yeah, it's a responsibility for them, and an asset is how do you say, something that they have as a benefit, as a.
Correct. So as Dheeraj said, Kunal, so you, as Dheeraj said, in the simplest of terms, a liability is something as a company I owe to someone else. An external to company. So in accounting, companies consider a legal entity. So this company is Nishant. So I am a person by itself. Treat me like a person, right? So if I have to give any money to any third party, whether it be Kunal, Vivek, anything, it's a liability. And if I have to receive from anyone, that's an asset. And whatever money I have in my bank account, etc., is my asset. Yes? Agreed?
Nishant, I'm kind of lost because I was thinking assets will be equal to liabilities plus your equity. So the total asset for a company will be what is the amount of money that it is in charge of, which includes both the equity raised from the market and the liabilities in terms of the borrowing and etc. So for me, a liability is also a type of an asset, right?
No. So in accounting, you got it correctly. So the formula is total asset will always be equal to total liability. But a liability is something I owe, right? So say I got equity, 400 crores.
Yeah.
So I will show it as a liability. See, accounting always follows dual entry. So two sides and it will always balance it out. So I will show 400 crore as a liability. Okay. And I will also show 400 crores in my bank account. So that 400 crores in my bank account is an asset.
Is an asset, yeah.
400 crores that I owe to the shareholders is a liability. Okay, by the way, I answered the question. So now tell why reserves is a liability.
Everyone understood, right? Reserves are accumulated profits, which after paying out all the commitments gets transferred to reserves. It gets accumulated over a period of time. But why is it a liability?
I think they need to pay also interest for the guys who didn't claim the dividend, maybe.
No, yeah. Still, I answered the question.
Because they're supposed to give it back into the market.
Correct.
The profit.
back it to the market. See, that reserve belong to the shareholder. In the simplest word, that equity share capital is one time you raised, right, through an IPO or whatever. The reserves also are profits. Profits belong to shareholders. So ideally, a perfect company will always pay out 100% as dividend. And then when needed, ask shareholders for more money. But company being an independent entity, what it does is, instead of getting this extra headache of first paying out, then taking when needed, also the additional cost of raising money, other headaches of taxes on dividends and all that, they say, okay, if I made 100 crore as profit, to the shareholders, I will return 25 crore. The rest 75 crore still belongs to the shareholder, but as a custodian, I will keep your money with me and I will invest it productively. If I'm not able to invest productively, then shareholders will start dancing on the company, like it happened with Apple. That one hedge fund guy said, Apple has $200 billion lying in the account. They are neither going to buy other companies. They are earning 1% on it. Better pay it off. I will invest it somewhere else. And he forced them to go for that buyback and all. That is a very nice case study.
So actually, if let's say a company decides to give 100% of its profits as dividends, then earning per share is actually what the shareholder actually realizes it as a part of his actual realized profits, right? Because
Exactly. So go back to the P&L here. So if you see here, in this year, Titan made a profit of 8 rupees 80 paisa per share. 2015 data I am looking at. But they only,
where do you see that, Nishant? Sorry.
EPS.
Got it. Okay.
But they only paid 25%, which means only 2 rupee 20 paisa they paid as dividend per share. So EPS is earning per share, DPS is dividend per share.
Okay.
Now they could have paid full 8.8. So that is why these companies, what they do is, after they have a lot of money, suddenly they will come up with one special dividend. So now if you look at the net profit number, 823 crore means 8.8 as EPS, right? Which means the current reserve was about 6,000 crores, which means currently they already hold about 56, 57 rupees in cash. So if Titan decides, they can actually give 20 rupees as dividend this year, which money can come from their reserves.
So what is the difference between reserves and retained earnings?
Same thing.
Same thing. No difference.
It's all the same. Yeah.
So either you call it retained earnings, either you call it reserves. Some people call it reserves and surplus. It's all the same.
Okay. Thank you.
Now the way it can be utilized is different. Either you can go and buy new company, buy extra land, open more stores. There are many ways to invest this extra. And we can go for bonus issue and share buyback, which will be covered in subsequent session. That's part of the agenda, right, Vaibhav? Share buyback and bonus issues.
Yeah, I'll add that. It's not till now, but I'll add.
Nishant, I think they can do a right issue also, right? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Rights issue for the retained earnings? No. Rights issue is to raise additional money. What Reliance did. Actually.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what Reliance did. Okay, got it.
So rights issue is basically if you want to continue the same shareholding, promoter shareholding is not diluted. So we did an extensive session on this rights issue. It's there in our recordings.
Nishant, sorry to interrupt. Is it? If I just quickly go through what I have to say, and then I really need to leave at 12:45.
Sure, Ishwar. But so you understood, right? So
I'll follow the discussion later on.
Yeah, ROC and ROE data. It will be interesting to see on a linear graph, like for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I'll prepare that for the next lesson.
And you understood, right, why it is important if it is growing or decreasing, how it will help us.
Actually, guys, the ROCE is specified in the bottom of the sheet historically. ROCE percentage.
Where did you see?
In the same screener page, if you go down to the ratios, consolidated figures in crores, ROCE percentage is shown up from 2008 to 2019. Yeah. And I see completely different values for the same company in my side, on my side and you. I see 2008 was 38%.
No. Maybe you are looking at the consolidated view. Just click on view standalone. So he's
What is
on.
the difference actually? I don't understand.
So your consolidated will be probably Titan has some other subsidiaries.
Okay, I see. So what should we be looking at?
Ideally, we should be looking at consolidated only, because along with its subsidiaries, how you are doing.
Yeah.
But
okay.
So because it will tell us that there are. So when you look at standalone numbers.
Yeah.
It is showing 38%. This is a consolidated number. And click on standalone. Let's see which number is higher.
It shows 40%.
For 2008, but 2009, does it change? Okay, we need two screens to compare. But anyways, if your consolidated numbers are better than standalone, which means your subsidiaries are doing well. If your consolidated numbers are worse than standalone, which means that your subsidiaries are eating up your money. But then you're probably investing in the subsidiaries, assuming they will grow faster. So it depends.
Okay. So I'll just talk a little bit about the debt. This company doesn't have much debt. It's we divide the total debt, which is composed of short-term liabilities and long-term liabilities. Divide by equity, we get a ratio of 0.3, which is less than 1, which is supposed to be good. But from what I saw in the recent years, they picked on some debt. Another point was I don't know anything about the management. Usually we should look at how stable the management is. I don't have any information. So my final conclusion is that right now it's although it's a good and fundamentally strong company, at the current market price I would not go for it. It looks a bit overvalued. Maybe I'll wait for another correction. Maybe they'll have a different perspective after their first 20 out. So I would wait for more information. Yeah. At the end, I'll share this document with you. I have some references also.
Cool, Ishwar. Yeah, very good analysis. And on the final one, just go to the Titan on the screener page. Just go to the dashboard, the first page.
Yeah.
There itself the PEG will tell. Yeah. So if you look at the PEG, it is 4. So anything above 1 is considered overvalued. At 4, it is highly overvalued. So even if you look at the book value, it is only 77. So even price to book value is very high. Just put that price to book value also, screener will show you.
I don't see PEG value on my page. Okay.
No, you can add it. You add whatever ratios you want. You can put price to sales also, Ishwar. Okay, these are also some interesting metric to look at. So it is 13 times the book value, which is again very high. Generally, the rule of value investing is you should buy the stock as close to its book value as possible. But then again, as I said, India is a unique market. It is very difficult to find value stocks. And few things which Ishwar didn't cover, probably will somebody else I hope will cover. What are the key competitors for Titan? What is the share of wallet? Like what percentage of the jewelry market is currently controlled by Titan? Is it 1%? Is it 0.5? Is it 50? So the lower the percentage, the higher the growth prospects, right? Because if I'm only considering 1% of the market, I have a lot of ground to cover. If I'm already covering 80% of the market, I cannot grow so much unless the whole market grows. See my point?
Yeah.
Okay. Great, Ishwar. I think you are on time. Really good presentation. I think few of that statistics probably you can add when you get some time. And I think we will have to continue this for another 2 sessions at least, because everybody will get the opportunity to present their findings. So thank you. I think you are dot on time. It's 2 minutes to go. So thank you, and looking forward to the next week to talk to you again.
Yeah,
Thank you, Vishal.
definitely. Thanks, Nishant. Thank you, everybody.
Great.
But really good presentation. A lot of useful information. And thanks for being the first one to do it.
All right, thanks. See you guys next time.
Bye.
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 Just